sci-fi genre has always been fascinating. From TV shows to movies, don't we all just love our daily lives to be spiced up with science? One of the famous science fiction authors, Larry Niven, gave a number of laws and published them as How the Universe Works. Niven has a law for all of us. Whether you're a writer or a scientist, you'll find a law which is relevant to you. Let's dig a little deeper into his laws. This law states that if the universe of discourse permits the possibility of time travel and of changing the past, then no time machine will be invented in that universe. Suppose it is easy to send messages to the past. A message sent to the past will alter the entire history, including the event that sent it and thus the message itself. Thus altered, the message will change the past in a different way and so on, until some equilibrium is reached. The simplest being the situation where no message at all is sent. Time travel may thus act to erase itself, simply meaning that if I were to invent a time machine and send a message in the past, then it would disrupt the entire timeline, thus altering history and even erasing the event of me sending that particular message. And this chain of events will happen on a loop up until we reach the situation where I did not send any message at all. Spooky, right? British science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke formulated 3 adages that are known as Clarke's 3 laws, out of which the third law is the best known and most widely cited. The law states that any sufficiently advanced technology is undisguisable from magic. Niven's law is also a term given to the converse of Clarke's third law. So Niven's law reads, any sufficiently rigorously defined magic is indistinguishable from technology. This law has also been credited as being from Terry Pratchett. Both Clarke's law and Niven's law are referenced in the show Doctor Who. If you want to become a successful writer, then here's a guide for you drafted by Niven Larry. Included in the 1989 collection of N-Space are 6 laws titled Niven's Laws for Writers. They are: writers who write for the other writers should write letters. A rather brutal way to put it, but I absolutely agree with Niven. A writer can establish himself only if he has a complete power over his work and has a freedom of thought. Never be embarrassed or ashamed about anything you choose to write. Think of this before you send it to a market. We live in a diverse world, and no matter how good you write, people will always find a way to point fingers. I guess what Niven meant by this law was to follow your train of thought and write from whatever inspiration you get. Stories to end all stories on a given topic? Don't. Looking for stories for a satisfying ending of a story? It is a sin to waste the reader's time. I guess all writers can agree with this law. It should be a fundamental law for all writers. If you've nothing to say it any way you like. Stylistic innovations, contorted storylines or none, exotic or genderless pronouns, internal inconsistencies, the recipe for preparing your lover as a cannibal banquet, feel free. If what you have to say is important and or difficult to follow, use the simplest language possible. If the reader doesn't get it, then let it not be your fault. Yet another possibly fundamental law for all writers: everybody talks first draft. Of course, everyone does. These are the laws drawn from his sci-fi collection Tales of Known Space, The Future Worlds of Larry Niven. Never throw shit at an armed man. Never stand next to someone who is throwing shit at an armed man. I guess this goes without saying. It's simply stupid to do something like this. Never fire a laser at a mirror. Mother Nature doesn't care if you're having fun. F into S is equal to K. The product of freedom and security is a constant. To gain more freedom of thought and or action, you must give up some security and vice versa. However, he has lost on this point and says that never give up your freedom. Psi and or magical powers, if real, are nearly useless. Over the lifetime of the human species, we would otherwise have done something with them. It is easier to destroy than create. If human beings didn't have a strong preference for creation, nothing would get built. Any damn fool can predict the past. History never repeats itself. Ethics change with technology. Anarchy is the least stable of social structures. It falls apart at a touch. There is a time and place for tact. and there are times when tact is entirely misplaced. The ways of being human are bounded but infinite. The world's dullest subjects in order: somebody else's diet, how to make money for a worthy cause, special interest liberation. The only universal message in science fiction: there exist minds that think as well as you do, but differently. Niven's corollary: the gene-tampered turkey you're talking to need not be one of them. Fuzzy pink Niven's law: never waste calories. This law implies that don't eat soggy potato chips, or cheap candy, or an inferior hot fudge sundae, or a cold soggy pizza. There is no cause so right that one cannot find a fool following it. In Variant Form in Fallen Angels as Niven's law: no cause is so noble that it won't attract fuckheads. No technique works if it isn't used. Well, buying weights doesn't really give you muscles until you actually use them. Not responsible for advice not taken. Niven's law for musicians: if the applause wasn't louder than the music, something's wrong. Play better or softer. Niven has tweaked these laws over the years by adding, eliminating, and adjusting line items when he thought it necessary. One of the most recent revisions was published in 2002. These are more of a lifestyle way given by Larry Niven. He wasn't just a science fiction author. As we saw, he also had a philosophical bend. As I said, he has a law for everyone, which quite honestly cracks us up. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel Explified.